DJ Earworm is an absolute legend, and he is a very interesting case example for mashups reaching the mainstream. He had this one mashup called United States of Pop 2008, and that one really put him on the map, and musically it was fantastic. And um, it's so funny that every mashup that came after that, everyone compared it to United States of Pop 2008, and he would always get shit on. I think undeservedly. Um, he's what makes him different from other pop artists or pop mashup artists rather, is how he it's how he sentence splices, and it's always very tasteful, even though it's kind of it might sound chaotic to an average listener, where it's like, oh yeah, these voices don't go together. But if you look at the sentences that he's creating, there's a great deal of creativity there, and there's a lot of work that's put into his stuff, even if it's not like the most technically impressive. Just the fact that he organizes the sounds, they're all in key, well, most of the time, and has all of this stuff going on. He is a very, very competent mashup artist, and I would say one of the best, and one of my early inspirations as well. So when I discovered that, I was looking through some Earworm stuff, and I was like, who is DJ Earworm? And his name is Jordan Roseman. I never knew that. I discovered that maybe 5 minutes ago, and I saw that, what's when you get to that point, what goes on in your mind? Like what like how do you approach music in that in this kind of way, and how does that translate to how you describe things or your personality or your outlook on things? So this is kind of like a candid video where I want to watch this DJ Earworm kind of TEDx video. This is not, I have not seen this. I've seen up to like 30 seconds of it, and then I stopped it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna react to this and just see what I think of it. DJ Earworm is a name that I've known for, wow, since I was like, it's got to be over like, well, since 2000. I came in at around 2007 with DJ Earworm, so that means since I was like 12 years old, I've been listening to this guy's stuff. So, man, and I never knew the person behind it, so we're gonna check that out right now, and I'll kind of give my candid reaction to it all. What an intro.
My name is DJ Earworm. My mom calls me Jordan, but you can call me whatever you want.
So this is at the point that I stopped like watching, but I'm gonna all this. I'm going in completely blind after this.
I've got a website called djearworm.com, and I make mashups. And
Interesting.
Mashups
He has a
are
website.
what I'm calling music from the crowd. It represents the music from the crowd in a few different ways. It's music that's made by the crowd, because
Ooh, I like
the
that.
people who used to be the audience are now starting to participate more and become the composers. It's also music that's made from the crowd, because it's music that's bits and pieces of other people's music.
I think that's a great kind of way to look at things. It's like this thing that started from, like actual musicians, to a thing that people can do in their own homes and just have fun with it. I think that's actually that was another thing that Greg Gillis touched upon in RIP, the Remix Manifesto. Greg Gillis, Girl Talk. He's another one of those legends that brought mashups to the masses. So to hear him talk about it and approach it in a similar way, I wonder if there's a sort of influence that's coming from that, or where's that coming from?
It's also music that's spread by the crowd, and that it's not pushed yet by the music industry. It's more spread virally through YouTube and Facebook and Twitter.
12 years, and that's still applicable.
And it's also music that hopefully reflects the crowd as well. My goal is to make mashups that not only consist of pieces of other people's music, but also reflect just the general mood. Okay.
Interesting. He has a very audience focused approach in that regard. I guess where him and I differ is mine is very much like an internal approach that goes outwards, but it looks like the audience is heavily influenced. Like I mean, like his influence draws heavily from the kind of music at the time and what people want to listen to. Interesting.
So I was trained as a computer scientist and a musician at the
Huh? Just like, oh, actually no, Greg Gillis was a microbiologist, I think, or just a biologist. I don't really know.
University of Illinois, which I know has a lot of fans here. I graduated. I was spent a little time struggling as a musician, just trying.
You know, computer science is like that's like one of those things that I don't know what's up with computer scientists and mashups, but like you like a Naki Naiko and Shoopfex, like those guys, they're from a computer science background. There's all these like techie backgrounds. That's really funny.
Trying to make ends meet, doing this sort of singer-songwriter in a coffee shop, and somehow that didn't. Oh, this isn't working? Oh, okay. Is this good? Okay, now we're on.
Did the audience just not hear him this whole time?
So basically, I was struggling. I started messing around with this kind of new music technology, making mixtapes for my friends. One of my friends said, "Hey, that's a mashup," and I said, "Oh, okay, that's great."
Interesting. He did it for his friends. That's very similar to how Shoop got started as well.
Okay, we're getting problems here. But anyway, let me give you an example of what a mashup is, if I can.
I wonder what he's gonna play. Wait, is that Ableton? Look
When
how
I first
ancient that
heard,
looks.
This song.
All right.
I think I could understand how it feels to love a girl.
All of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, that really reminds me of another song." And then I remembered, "Oh, it's "Free Fallin'" by Tom Petty."
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like, oh, those are the same chords. I wonder how that would sound like together.
iTunes, look at that.
She's a good girl, loves her mama. She's a good girl.
We're a boy,
Interesting.
even just for a day.
And it goes on and on and on. You can download all this stuff from DJEarworm.com. I'm going to play you just short snippets
Yeah,
to
look at
keep
that.
this within, the length I need to. You might ask, how did I get Tom Petty and Beyonce to cooperate in that and allow me to put that on YouTube? And of course, the answer is I didn't. I just put it up
Yo,
there.
ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah, a lot of the times we just don't get permission from artists. They don't respond. There's always the fear of getting shut down and stuff. There's a whole bunch of challenges there.
And no one stopped me, and so and that's sort of the story of my life.
I wonder what the audience is thinking at this point in time. Like, do they know like who this guy is, or like, yeah, the stuff he's talking about? How relatable is it to the audience? That's what I want to know. That being said, I would absolutely attend a workshop from him. 12 years, and he's like, I don't know how long he's been doing this, since 2003, and he's still going at it for 20 years. That's crazy. 20 years of mixing music.
That's a big characteristic of music from the crowd, is that it's voluntary, it's risky, it's the crowd just doing it, even though they didn't actually get the permission. So we're sort of in this age of the insiders and the outsiders, this line blurring where the amateur is making music and it's sitting right alongside that of the professional. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I like that kind of comparison. The amateur is the one that's making the music, because I see mashups as a very, very accessible kind of art form. It is super, super accessible. Like to teach someone how to get things in in sync is a matter of minutes, and then they can make whatever they want out of it. And there's like video editing software that people have like played with, and they can just do whatever they want. So it's a different kind of way than handling a guitar. A guitar takes a lot of skill and finesse and dexterity, whereas in this case it's like, oh, do you know the technical, like how to get something at the right speed, and whether they get it or not in key or something, that separates the kind of people who know music and people who don't really know it. So fascinating. I like that you brought that up.
If I'm an amateur making this or if I'm a professional, people on YouTube will argue about it. My stuff gets on the radio, but I don't get paid for it. So it's a good question.
Great question.
Music usually it used to be that everyone would make music. Back in the Middle Ages, you'd have minstrels. Music would be infused in every part of life. But then what happened is, the first that happened is the printing press came along and music started getting written down, and people said, oh, music is a thing. It's not an experience. It's an actual thing which has an author, and there's an official version, and this author became very elevated. And the conservatories came along and they said, okay, you're a musician as a performer, and you are not. So there became this divide between the musicians and the non-musicians. Then
interesting. I never really thought of it that way, but getting a glimpse of that, I think there's some validity to it. Actually, I'd say there's a lot of validity to it, just because of the way that you saw things structured right now. Like back in the day, people would, they would join choirs, they would sing at dinner tables and stuff like that. So, to hear it like, oh yeah, this is like, the musical literacy was kind of a bit of a divide, and, the people who took it seriously, of course, furthered their craft, and the people who didn't have access to those resources, or I guess maybe even didn't want to, pursue that further, there's a whole, there's a gap. So when he says that it's music from the crowd, I can definitely see that. Because you can have there's a lot of people who make mashups, and specifically anime mashups, and they struggle with key. And in all fairness, key is quite difficult to, to kind of nail down. Having the ear to get things right is a lot harder than it seems. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm rambling on about, but yeah, I definitely see that divide. Because, if you actually had a music producer handle things, it would be a far different approach than if a mashup artist handles things.
And when the recording industry came and said, okay, you guys can have access to these recording tools and you can't, then it became even more, the lines were even more drawn to separate them. Let's see.
Yeah, I never heard that side of things. I like that.
Let's see. But music is something that lives inside of everyone. It's something that's sort of natural to us all. Like we all speak and we all know we can speak, but we don't really know that we also know music. It's just that because we don't have music education, we haven't learned that we already know how to speak music. Most people know how to sing, but you weren't taught music theory to do it. So all that musical training does is it tells you what it is that you already know. So the line, it's very blurry. And right now we're in an era of like a lot of user-generated content, like in YouTube, and so people are starting to take these music technology tools and they're becoming more and more adept at it. So it's actually starting to become our new language of using all these multimedia production tools to communicate with each other. Put it on Facebook and tweet it and all that stuff.
Yeah. So when we look at that, what was I going to say about this? Yeah, a lot of the times people get into mixing music not because they have the musical background, but it's because they want to have a hobby, or they want to like try something out that's already in their head. There's actually a lot of people that I've talked with that started because they had a combination in their head. Sometimes it's like, oh, they'll hear a mashup, but they think they can do it better. So I think that these people who end up mixing music kind of gravitate towards the idea of having something fresh. But a lot of these people don't come in having known music theory already. People like M. Dion, that's kind of a rare case. Naki doesn't really know much music theory, and Shoop as well. Well, I mean, Shoop knows how to execute good music theory, but he doesn't like know the official like notation. But on the kind of beginner level, it's like it's all software driven. So when he talks about this divide between, the musicians and the crowd, I can see that just how things are at this point. Oh, it's kind of like how people will start off with Space Jam. I mean, Triple Q says that the best way to get into it is Space Jam because you don't have to worry too much about key. Space Jam does actually have a key, but it's not like it's within the culture of things not being in key. So it's just like it's a good fundamental thing. And I used to oppose that because it's like, well, you're not looking at key, but back then I didn't even get things properly in tune. So it's like, what am I doing? But yeah, it's a great way, and everyone has different areas of access.
Yes, so it's blending sort of the underground and the mainstream. It's making it so that all these lines are really blurry, like my monitor here. And I used to think I was underground, and then as I started to mess with mashups more and more, I realized, well, there's really no difference here. And so I said, well,
wow, a DJ Earworm project file. Look at that.
If I just went all the way and made something that was, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, how did people extract vocals back then? Like, I know they had studio vocals, but I mean, Udogo has been around for a while. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was all phase inversion with Audacity. Because when I first started and I didn't know anything about Udogo, it was all phase inversion for me. And even when Shoopfix made your puzzle, that's literally like music rebalance in Adobe Audition. And there's a bunch of effects that Shoop had to do to kind of make the vocals where they are. And of course the vocals were very loud and wide, not because it fit in the culture of the music, but it's also to hide a lot of the imperfections as well.
That was pure pop, and I took the top 25 top 25 songs of the year, and I hopefully can find this for you, and I mixed them all into one.
I wonder what it would take to get an interview with him. That'd be interesting. Because I saw, let's see here, DJ Earworm interview. Like, look, the Kato show, 94 views 6 years ago, 89 views 7 years ago. So it's like, what if I got him on West? Wouldn't that be crazy if I got DJ Earworm on West?
And here's what it sounds like. This is from 2007.
Oh, this is before 2008. When you hear sampling like that with like a guitar note, that's very Girl Talkish. Like if you listen to Girl Talk's early stuff, he loved looping like single note sounds. There's a rustic charm to it. At least nostalgic, at least for me.
This is why I'm hot. 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 Crack that soda, I'm hot 'cause I'm fly. Crack that soda, ain't 'cause you not.
Even you can see, because 2008 is when he really came in with the vocal interplay. You can even see in this example that he's showing that you can tell he's alternating because he it may not make sense, but it's just musically like, oh, that's interesting.
Crack that soda, I'm hot 'cause I'm fly. Crack that soda, this is why I'm hot.
It goes on and on and on. DJearworm.com, you can hear the whole thing. But this song...
Man, I just love this. I think it's because of the setting that he's in that I think that he's trying to get all the thoughts out really, really quickly. But I would just love to have just sit down and just have a conversation with him. What a legend.
Got on the radio in Philly, and it sort of it blew up. It was my first big radio hit.
Really? 2007.
So this is music that's made from the crowd, just from some guy in his bedroom, you know. And this is how this whole movement is done, is by just people, you know, doing it on their own.
Yeah, I highly recommend Rip, a remix manifesto. This thing right here, I think like anyone who goes into mashups and wants to take it seriously needs to see this video. Like these are like the roots of Western mashups. I like definitely Girl Talk. I think is the what's it? I don't want to say origin, maybe kind of origin. The Girl Talk definitely made it popular, and then you had the Avalanches, who are very sample based, and DJ Earworm I find is like the kind of turning point for the internet's you know, being receptive to mashups.
So as the line between the artist and non-artist is blurring, so is the line between consumption and production. So
Ooh, I like that.
like with this, did I make it? You know, is this just something I listened to and then gave it back? It's a very gray area, and it's sort of represented by the DJ, where a DJ isn't necessarily a producer of art. He's someone that listens to music, and it's something that gives you music, but is a DJ really making the music? Is he listening to it? It's in this sort of blurry continuum.
That's a great topic to talk about, because you know, it's like what is a mashup artist? Like, what can the mashup artist claim is their own? And my kind of approach has always been like, the mashup artist made the mashup, but they didn't make the songs, and it's important to have that distinction constantly. And that's why I don't feel comfortable being called a producer or a musician, even though that there are elements where I'm exercising musical knowledge. You know, it's like, am I making something actually original? The mashup itself could be original, but the songs aren't. So it is definitely all gray. I've asked a lot of people. I remember I went to this convention, and there's this pretty big YouTuber that I looked up to, and I asked him, like, hey, is this like fair use? Like, what is, you know, the stance of a mashup? And he was like, yeah, it's all gray. And yep, to this day, I think that we don't need to call something that it's not. So just mashup artists could be a producer, depending on how much they add to it. So like, if I look at someone like Flipboy to Midless, I consider him a producer. Like, yes, he focuses on mashups, but the way he handles his mashups is very heavy-handed, and also he produces his own music as well. So I'd say that if you are both a mashup and producer, I would say producer is the better word. Whereas for someone like me, who doesn't actually produce original music, I think mashup artist is the better word. You know, like Shootvex, I consider Shootvex a producer, even though, you know, he's known for the mashups. And then everything gets gray whenever it comes to Naki Naiko, because even though he does mashups like entirely, and he sprinkles in some elements of production, part of me thinks that because of how well he articulates it, like, it almost really seems like a disservice to call him a mashup artist. So, you know, maybe musician is the best umbrella term. I don't actually know.
So, like, if I play a song, if I just press play, is that a creative act? Most people would say no. But if I make a mix CD, some people would say, well, there's an element of creativity and art. And
yeah, there's an art of rearranging, similar to you know, in Japan, how you have people, when it comes to arranging flowers, those people may not necessarily be the ones that are, you know, creating the flowers. Well, in a lot of cases, yes, but, you know, sometimes if they're just focused on the rearranging of it, to create some very aesthetic, I don't know what the term is, but I think you see what I'm getting at.
And well, what if I mix that CD like a DJ with these smooth transitions? Well, you know, a lot of people would say, yeah, that's starting to be an art. If you mash it up and you really restructure it, then it becomes more of an art. If you separate it into itty bits and, you know, make a new.
I love that he's really trying to, like, I know he knows that he's not trying to draw a line, but he's at least showing the different perspectives that makes the line gray.
Song out of it,
Blurry.
then it's at some point everyone will agree you've made art, and at some point pretty much everyone will agree that you didn't.
I love that.
It's the same thing as if I put a picture on a wall. That's not making art. But if I put like 1,000 pictures on the wall or 10,000 pictures on the wall and arrange them in a really neat mosaic, well, most people would say that's art.
Yeah, like I love the collage kind of analogy. I used to use that several years ago. Yeah, it's like taking something and making something original out of it. Like there's an art to it.
Let's see. I can skip ahead here. At one point, I realized, okay, we can take all of these words that are
Like I'm just gonna. Yeah. So when I went to a Canada Post in the middle of nowhere, there's a lady who made this art piece, and it's just a massive collection of stamps that she's accumulated over the years, and it made something original out of it. So like, is this art? Is the person an artist? And I you know what, I think so. So that's why I don't have any issue with calling someone a mashup artist. Did they make art? Art can be very subjective. It's like, oh, contemporary art. It's like, where do you draw the line? Some people will look at the the splashes of paint on a canvas and be like, yeah, that's not art. But it's a different form of expressionistic. So I use art as a very loose term, and I think that's why we have words such as good and bad. It's like, oh, it's good art or bad art. I think it's like, you don't need to have something that's intrinsically tied to the word art to imply that it has to be good.
floating around there, and sort of turn them against themselves. So we've got this pop culture which is giving us these messages, and I was sort of getting all these messages of this kind of quiet, this is during '08, and this sort of quiet desperation that was sort of lurking underneath all these pop songs, and I realized it was during the gas crisis, and when all those prices were peaking, and I made a song out of Britney Spears and all these other people, and I called it "No More Gas." Let's see,
What?
play a little bit of that. And I make videos too, so I hear. Hopefully
heard
the
this
videos.
one?
Yeah.
No more gas, gas, gas.
Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go?
No more gas, gas, gas.
Are you ready to go?
Can't even get started.
Come on, I'm all the time.
No more gas, gas, gas.
Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go?
Gas, gas, gas.
You got it. Say the word and I'ma give you what you want.
American boy.
I just can't stop.
I love this. It's so there's a theme around it. I'm a sucker for themes.
I just can't stop. 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 Can't break my
Give me more gas.
soul away. And I can't escape.
I love that this is such a product of his time, because you can hear how the artifacting with the vocals. And that's another thing that DJ Earworm gets dunked on a lot, is the quality of the vocals. Like back then, he would get dunked on all the time. It's like, yeah, these vocals, like one sounds clean and one sounds like bad. There's only so much that you can do with mixing and mastering to make a vocal good. Like if it is fundamentally crap, there's not much you can do. And this comes from the perspective of like someone who's tried to work with really bad vocals and trying to polish it up. Like there's some stuff that you can do, but if you're looking at the scope of like DJ Earworm, where he's mixing 25 plus songs, can you give that much attention and love to every vocal? Like when I do vocals, I bring it into this thing called Isotope, and it blows up all the frequencies graphically, and then you can paint over the frequencies like Photoshop. And in that case, it's like a single vocal will take me like upwards of 8 to 10 hours, and I may not even use the whole vocal, right? So these are things that, where do you draw the line? I don't know, I'm kind of ranting, but I just think there's a certain charm to having crappy sounding vocals. and in his defense, that was probably the best way. Like those were probably the best vocals he could get at point, place, and time.
Just can't stop. I just can't stop. I just can't stop.
So you get the idea. It's sort of. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, people don't know. I was like, oh, should I clap for this? Is this a performance? Like.
So this is music that's made by the crowd because it consists of a whole bunch of different fragments of other people's music, but it's also spread through the crowd. It's spread by the Facebook and all the message boards. There's no official manual, except for.
So there used to be a story that well, it was a story that only Shoop told me. So how we got into music production was in like playgrounds where he'd be like talking with his friends about like music and stuff, and I'm probably getting the story wrong, but him and his friends would be like, oh yeah, let's try to make music and then show each other what we made in the playground the following days or something. So Shoop would come back with something that he produced, and it would never sound as good as his friends and his multiple friends. And the reason why is because the friends straight up stole the songs, like stole other songs, and tried to pass it off as their own. And then that was I don't know, I just thought that was such a funny like mental imagery of young Shooplex just like being like, wow, how is everyone else so much better at this than I am? It's because they're actually songs produced by music producers. What a great story.
For my book.
He has a
Available.
book? Audio mashup construction. No. Okay, audio mashup construction kit. Oh my gosh. It's on Amazon. Oh my gosh. Oh dang, I just doxed myself. Anyways, yo, I think I want to get this just because of the weight that it holds. Like even if it's not going to teach me anything new, I still, I don't know. I want this. I'm gonna place an order. I will get this. I want this now.
Will it find online booksellers? Anyway,
I want the physical copy too.
Yeah, but so it's very much of a is something that's happening on the viral sort of street level. Let's see. Where is it? I thought this iPad was a good idea. All right, so
He's
yeah,
so
music,
nerdy, I
it
love
goes
this
right
guy.
to our core. It reflects our spirit, and it reflects our collective spirit. So that you can't make music without a community, because you're always picking up the styles, the idioms of those around you. And people try to control the spread of it. The music industries try to control the spread of it, and they haven't quite figured out how to control the spread of this new wave. I assume they will eventually, but
Yeah. So in the Remix Manifesto, Greg Gillis actually did get sued, and they wanted like 1 point something million dollars because of all the copyright infringements he had. I don't remember how. It was a long time since I watched Remix Manifesto, but I don't remember. Sorry, no, it wasn't him that got. Wait, was it him that got booked? No, it was a lawyer that said like, no, this wouldn't pass. But there was a woman who or her family who downloaded like 12 songs, and the music industry wanted to have like make an example out of her and find her like several million. I don't 1 point something million. I don't remember the whole story, but I mean there was instances in the past where they tried to fight it, but now it's kind of like, oh, you're using our music, okay, we'll allow it, but we're making money off of you using our music. So.
But ASCAP and BMI, they have no idea what to do with it, and they try to control performance and everywhere. But so I keep on just doing this and seeing if I can get away with it. My first real breakthrough was I did that United State of Pop. You saw that earlier.
Oh, here comes
But then I did it
2008.
the next year, and I was a little more intent on getting more meaning out of it, more reflecting the mood of where we were at the end of 2008, which was very sad, but at the same time,
What?
all the music was so sexy that it was hard to stay that sad.
Oh man, I remember this one. I didn't like this one. Yeah, no, this was not a good one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jordan. This is not a good one. But even like the vocal interplay, it's still like great. I think it's maybe just because I just didn't really like Viva La Vida. I liked it in the past, but then like after hearing it for like the 300th time, I'm kind of like, it's starting to get a little old. But yeah, you can see even the lyrics make sense, and I find that a lot of pop mashup artists these days, don't even like they don't do it like Earworm. I can see why, because musically maybe they don't particularly identify with that sound, but I think that there's a great deal of craft that goes into it. Yeah, DJ Earworm, he does not deserve to get shit on every year for his United States of pop. Like he's trying, and he's gotten better. Maybe his mashups aren't as memorable as 2008, but he's I don't know. I just think that he's done a lot more for the mashup scene than a lot of other people who don't get roasted as hard. Yeah, that's not it. That is not it. I wonder what the audience is thinking. They're like, "What the heck is this? This is so confusing." That's another thing that there's a separation between, even though it's like music from the crowd, like as Jordan here is saying it, there's a separation between the mashup ear and the ear of the masses. So what a mashup artist may find as not being that busy because they can dissect all the sounds, it may sound like a garbled mess to someone on the outside. So I'm kind of wondering what the audience is thinking of what they're hearing right now.
Anyway,
Yeah,
you can get all this DJEarworm.com.
Look at him.
So that was the end of '08, and
Yeah, no, that was not. I did not like that one. Even when it dropped, like I'm just like, no, this ain't it.
and I started to realize, I can actually express myself through other people's words, and
Oh, expressing himself through other people's words. I think that's very relevant for people who want to take mashup seriously. Like, how do you express yourself through other people's work or vision?
that was very exciting. It's confusing. Is this me? Is this us? It's ambiguous, but it is the hallmark of music in a networked time.
This is why I like my mashup channel so much. It's because, okay, so you might have mashup channels that are themed around, let's say, one anime, which is totally fine. You have someone like Zach CG. Oh, he's the JoJo mashup guy. And if you like JoJo, you subscribe because, oh yeah, he does cool stuff with that. Whereas mine, there's not really a sort of kind of consistency and direction, which means that the people that are subscribed and listening are fans of mashups rather than fans of the series, because I'll mix one series and never touch it again. So this is kind of one of those things where, where's it going with this? Yeah, I don't know. I like what we got going on, because it's like fans of the mashups versus fans of the source material. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Expect it to be non-linear. You expect it to be fast-paced.
That's another thing that I have a lot of problems with pop mashup artists. A lot of them, even though it's kind of like, yeah, it's people having fun. It's the bedroom producer kind of, well, more like, yeah, the crowd producing the music. A lot of mashups are very, very linear, and it's like, what reason will you give the audience to make them listen past the first chorus? It's one of those things.
Expect it to have a global reach, or at least a global perspective, and be filled with information, be processed, reprocessed, and available for further reprocessing. Have it be multimedia, be sort of random access, unfinalized, because when is anything actually finished? It's hard to know. So let me wind up. By the end of the next year, I said, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do this right this year. People were like, oh, that last year it sounded like a
Yeah.
an introduction that didn't go anywhere. So I said,
Yo, straight up, yeah.
okay, no problem. And I
He listens to the criticism.
Let's see, how do I make this bigger? Well, here we go.
Oh my gosh, is that the project file for 2008?
Maybe.
I know you want pop.
Oh my gosh, that is the project file for 2008. That is a legendary. You know, I thought this was just a regular project file, but oh my gosh, it's actually the one.
You want rock and roll. This year's remix got some fun.
Look how basic it is. There's like, maybe there's some volume balancing to get everything to sit right, but like, I mean, like, this is so incredibly linear, but it's how he handles it, and I think that's the most important part. It's not the techniques that you do. It's the music that comes forth from these ideas.
I got hot, I got fucking electronic.
Okay, I spoke a little too soon. He's got layers.
I got hip hop music with the future flow. Don't worry, even if the sky is falling down.
Oh my gosh, this is the project file for wow. I'm having a moment here. This is damn. I'm speechless. I just can't believe I'm seeing the project file for United States of Pop 2008. Wow.
And then, then the video.
I got a feeling.
That was another thing that always impressed me, is how you can have that kind of low mood and then bring the energy right back seamlessly. As much as I hate the Black Eyed Peas and all of their music, I will thank them for having produced I Got a Feeling, because that song I think still holds up fairly well to this day, and there's a wonderful bass for this mashup.
Let's live it up.
See, like, live life, and then the other vocal, live it up. It's like you get down, and then you have what is this, Jason Derulo? I don't remember who sung this one, but yeah, I want to know his process for selecting where vocals go where, which vocals go where. I never liked, I think that what the Carrie Hilson vocal, like, it was like, I get why he did it, but yeah, I never liked the quality of it. I would be very, very curious what this mashup would sound like with modern extraction techniques. I think for our intents and purposes, just keep it as a milestone of YouTube's history, and this mashup that brought the whole art to the masses. I do attribute a lot of my kind of journey through mashups to this one mashup right here. Look at this audience, they don't know what's going on.
Anyway, I would love to play the whole thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I see, now people like that one. The other one sucked.
And that song's available on my website, and it's on YouTube. I just got 29 million hits so far. So it's been
29 mil.
amazing.
What are we on now? Are we on like? Okay, wait. I'm curious. Where are we right now? United States of Pop 2008. No, this one, not that one. Oh, 2009. 54 million. Oh boy, yeah, look at that. This is the one, right? Yeah, this is a classic right there.
And if this is, if the future is fuzzy and gray, then I welcome it.
I realize I've been saying 2008, but okay, it's the 2009 one.
Thank you very much.
What a fantastic video. What an absolute legend. That's fantastic. Just seeing the project file for that. Like, I'm a huge advocate for project files because it lets people in on the process, and there's a different level of appreciation, but also it's a learning tool as well. So when I saw that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's the project file. Wow. Damn, that is really, really cool. Okay, anyways, yeah, so that was my blind reaction of this TEDx PSU DJ Earworm kind of speech of sorts. Was it? No, it's not a speech. What is it? Presentation. Yeah, wherever he is, I hope he's doing well. All right, that's all I gotta say. See ya.